Hi, I'm trying to reach Mike Osterman.
Hey, Mike, pissed the judge off, and then I came home the following Tuesday, and my electricity was shut off.
Hi, Mike.
I'm looking for Mike Overman.
One more time.
Welcome to Real Estate Soup with Mike Osterman.
Hotline 1-800-224-6962. 1-800-222. What? Jesus, my own number. 1-800-224-6962. Where we're taking calls about what your experience with real estate. Have you been scammed out of money? Do you have a landlord that's treating you wrong? Do you have a story about somebody that didn't move out, or do you have somebody that who knows what? There's all kinds of things. I can tell you stories about bodies being found in freezers. We've got stories about people doing foreclosure scams in Santa Barbara who wrapped the city council member into a deal and caused all kinds of problems. But again, that number is 1-800-224-64. 1-800, I'm going to get it right one of these days. 1-800-224-6962 is the hotline, and all you have to do is call to win. But starting it off, we have a story out of the Virgin Island Consortium. A man with home in Cruz Bay, St. John, sues an alleged loan scammer after losing property in a rush sale. Now, this is where people and emotions collide, right? If we're, those of us that are in the business know that real estate's very emotional, and you can bring all the logic to the table, and it still will not be heard. Josh Nash alleges he was scammed out of $23,500 while seeking a loan to cover a balloon mortgage payment. Now, if you know anything about balloon payments, they're best in a rising market, and you can ride the equity up. California, they're great. If you had a loan in 2012 and had a payment due in 2020, you probably were okay. But now that market's changing, and the market, I should say, is changing as home sales soften, and equity is being eaten up by people, needing to sell. So the law forced John to sell his home in St. John for less than the $1 million market value. A man suing several defendants for allegedly swindling him out of $20,000 and is what is being described as a loan scam. John Nash, a Maryland resident, owned property in Cruz Bay, St. John. The property had reportedly been purchased via a mortgage, and in 2023, a large payment was coming due. See, again, the market really peaked in 2021, 2022, and now we're starting to see some softening. According to the civil complaint, Mr. Nash needed to secure a new loan under a more favorable term to be able to handle the debt. Not uncommon. SWH Partners LLC, a company allegedly represented by John Halverson, resident of Florida, offered what the lawsuit called a hard money loan to pay off the pending mortgage and move forward under more favorable terms. Now, if anybody's had a hard money loan, they know that the rates are higher. It's quick money, but there are some strings attached, and you need to be able to handle that that payment and that amount of debt. And it sounds like he was trying to sell it, but he was able to, as we're about to learn what comes next, that he got taken advantage of because he wasn't able to, let's find out. The new loan reportedly required an upfront payment of $30,000 to move forward. However, that sum was negotiated downward to $20,000. Mr. Nash wired the funds on the 23rd. Afterwards, the lawsuit alleges the defendant named in the complaint, Jody Smith and Chris Walker, contacted Mr. Nash to demand a further $3,500 in document fees. On October 16th, this money was also reportedly sent via wire transfer, according to instructions. With the date of the balloon payment, With the date for the balloon payment on the existing mortgage drawing closer, Mr. Nash became desperate to close the new loan or he would lose the property, the lawsuit claims. Now, I'm not sure if it was a foreclosure, if it was just, there's some things that are being left out of here that we don't know could have played out. I'm assuming there was a foreclosure coming due. Well, and it's also the Virgin Islands. I'm not sure how the legal process works for title transfers down there. The defendants kept promising him the funds would come in time. Nash, having justifiably relied on the defendants' misrepresentation, continued to wait for the loan to close. In the face of assurance from loan providers, Mr. Nash says he sought an extension from the loan holders of his existing mortgage, which is not uncommon. People will like to work with you. They don't want to do it, which reportedly cost him over $165,000 in penalties and interest. Quote, it finally became apparent to plaintiff that defendants had been running a con game on him and that the promised loan did not actually exist. With the foreclosure imminent, okay, so there is a foreclosure. Mr. Nash said that he had to scramble to sell his property, receiving approximately $1 million less than his actual value because of the haste in which he was forced to dispose of it. Now, that's kind of interesting, right? What was the house listed on the market? You know, we're dealing with some things right now where there's a property that's in foreclosure, it's in probate, and we're seeking offers. The property's listed, and we're getting all kinds of offers at different price points. We have a trustee sale coming up, but we're also going to be able to negotiate that trustee sale date once we have a contract and we can move forward with that. So that's interesting to see if they actually had the house for sale. Why couldn't he have sold it at the sale if there was that much equity in the position? You know, you can come back and get that the overbid. But again, it's Virgin Islands. I'm not really sure how they work it down there. Despondent at losing his home, plaintiff demanded the defendants return the $23,500 to him. The lawsuit claims. However, defendants continued their scam by continually promising repayment was only never. Defendants continued their scam by continually promising repayment was coming, only to never return the funds to him. Got it. Okay. Sorry about that. That sentence was kind of sloppily written. The lawsuit claims that even then, the alleged scammers tried to convince Mr. Nash that they could close on the loan to help him repurchase the property. Mr. Nash ultimately decided to insist upon the return of the money, to reportedly received assurances that this would be done. However, the defendants backed out of the promise, only then to agree to return only some of the funds, then only through a payment plan. Mr. Nash has never received any refund. So it sounds like he had to sell his house at a loss to prevent the balloon. Now, we don't know how much the balloon payment was for, do we? Interesting. So anyhow, yeah, you know, you got to be careful with who you're dealing with out there. It's, you know, that's there's always someone to help. There's always somebody that's going to be willing to take your money or make you promises and under deliver. And I'm sure that this story is going to come out a little bit more. We'll follow it. We'll put the story in the comments below. But tell us your story. Give us a call, 1-800-224-6962. Got it right that time. And tell us your story. It could be worth $500. Thanks again for listening to Soup, and we'll talk next week.